Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2, and welcome to GGG Live. We have a huge amount of stuff to share today, so it's going to be a good one. Twitch drops are enabled on today's livestream, so you'll be able to claim the Red Queen's font hideout decoration by following the instructions below. Okay, so with that out of the way, time to roll the trailer for Path of Exile 2, Return of the Ancients.
Those in darkness, who once lay dormant, now return. We who came before rise again. Behold, the first edict.
Sounds good, man. Manifest weapon.
We become one.
So, see that shield there? There's apparently a shield skill that's coming into the game with that Path of Exile 2. And basically, I think they show it in, if we go to Return of the Ancients, they show it in one of the reveals somewhere. Wherever it is. I think it pops up here. Or it's supposed to. Yeah, there we go. The animation's coming through. So there's so much being added here, it's crazy. Yeah, see that there? So this was on Try's video earlier. There's a shield skill coming into the game. New shield skill is the same as the skill from the Breach Lords. So if we get confirmation that that actual skill is for real coming into the game the way I think it is. So see that shield there? They're featuring that. So shield throw. I'd say it's shield throw. Might be attached to the unique shield that drops from Breach. I reckon that would actually come from the Breach Lord. Like, seems pretty consistent with the shield that you look at when you see that Breach Lord. But anyway.
You are completely alone. I remain loyal to the
like it's your last.
Continue the search. See what you can find. Now see how your story ends.
Yeah, I'd say so. But they're giving us a lot more power. That ascendancy I definitely tried. And this is obviously what I'm going to probably restart of. It's so ridiculous. That was awesome. And I'm going to do a build
To face us is to face oblivion.
So as you can see, there's just so much going on in Return of the Ancients, it's hard for even us to keep track of it all. Now, we promised that this one was going to revamp the endgame, and I'm very excited to talk about it. But first, we've got to talk about the League. So to do that, I'm going to hand things over to Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. Now, for those of you who are new to Path of Exile, each time we release an update, we also release a new league. Not only do we have a new economy, but we also introduce new content through the campaign, which gives you a fresh play experience right from the start of the game, as well as new mechanics, storylines, and in-game bosses. In the Runes of Alder League, you will encounter a man being attacked by the undead in Clearfell. After saving him, he introduces himself as Pharaoh, a young blacksmith trying to bring back the ancient art of Ezomite.
I can't do much about that. It's as loud as it's going to get.
He has been collating his discoveries in a tome and is keen to show you how runesmithing
Unless I drop
works.
this down more.
By inscribing symbols on these ancient Ezomite remnants, you can create all manner of old magics. Unfortunately, on doing so, the corpses of the nearby undead are revived and infused with some of the latent power, making for a difficult fight.
Awesome.
After defeating these monsters, Pharaoh realizes that runesmithing is a dangerous business, and he is going to need the help of someone a little more martially inclined to discover these secrets. He lends you his tome and asks that you note down anything you discover when you return to him. In each area in the Runes of Alder League, you will find a remnant, and as you approach it, you will notice that some symbols are already present, and some are waiting for you to fill them in. Depending on which symbols are already present, you will have different options for which items you can create using this magic. For example, if you combine Tempest and Lightning, you can create an
Oh
orb of
my god.
augmentation.
So what we're looking for is like anything that looks weird or different outside of what they're explaining. They generally tend to show us more than what we actually bargained for.
But be careful. The symbols used to craft the items also empower the monsters around the remnant, who will be revived as undead to fight again with different properties depending on what runes you used. So, if you use a fire rune in your recipe, the monsters will be empowered with fire. Or if you use a moon rune, lunar beams will rain down as you fight the monsters.
See that hammer? I have never seen that hammer before. And I don't know any uniques that look like that. That's not the blessed hammer either with the shrine buffs. Einhar cosplay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
After the fight, Break the remnant to receive the item you crafted. As you get higher level, you will start to find remnants with more slots for more runes, allowing you to craft rarer items. As the number of slots increases though, more waves of monsters will be added, with each wave being empowered by more and more of the runes. And this can get pretty dicey, because some of the runes can have powerful effects. Like the Oath rune, which will cause one monster to be nominated as a leader, spawning waves of minions. The leader itself will be invincible, but killing its minions will deal damage to it.
Nah, it's not Hammer of Faith. Hammer of Faith looks different. That's a new base type hammer. There's no hammer in the game that actually looks like that.
Some recipes can
Not
get
that I've
pretty
seen.
large, requiring 6.
Yeah, Hammer of Faith has like a bridge sort of design with like arcs in the side of it. That's not Hammer of Faith.
7, or even 8 runes. But don't worry, you won't have to remember them. Pharaoh's runecrafting book will record all the options, allowing you to simply pick which one you want to craft, given the existing runes that are already on the remnant. To expand your knowledge and to allow you to craft more items, Pharaoh has asked that you keep an eye out for signs of runic magic around Rayclast. He wants to document anything you find in order to rediscover the secrets of Ezomite runesmiths of old. The first of these can be found in Ogham, and reveals to you an ancient secret, buried deep underground.
It pretty much is. Like, everything in the runes of Alder is basically to cope with the fact that they don't want to add crafting bench, or a conventional crafting bench into the game, but it really is just crafting bench.
The runic magic which the Ezomites believe to be their own is actually of Kalguran origin. Thousands of years ago, the Kalgurans came to Rayclast to find sources of verisium, a metal on which engraved runes allow control over reality. Pharaoh is determined to learn these ancient ways and gain mastery over them. If you can bring him more verisium, he'll be able to use it to smith power into any armor.
See, yeah, rune forging. Sorry, I'm doing notes up here. What are we at? Timestamp wise, 10:13. Yeah, verisium buffing armor is OP.
Granting you runic ward, the power harnessed by the Kalgurans since ancient times. Runic ward is a new resource that protects you from death. Should you run out of life, your runic ward will kick in, sustaining your body until your life can return. It effectively acts as an extra life pool. Of course, should you take enough damage to run out of that, you will still die. Every single piece of armor in the game can be upgraded this way, even uniques. Some are just a strict upgrade, giving runic ward with no downside. Others are more extreme, sacrificing defenses to get a much larger amount of runic ward.
I wonder if that also means that you could take away the negative all-max buff as well. But that's okay.
There are even some that add new modifiers to uniques entirely, making them much more viable for higher level play. But the Kalgurans use runic ward for more than just a defense.
It's a solution to not putting more HP into the game.
Other magics. Instead of using gems created from corruption, the Kalgurans used runes of power and fueled them with runic ward. Many of the options available from remnant crafting are new types of Kalguran skills that exclusively spend runic ward to wreak havoc.
Verisium cuffs. Does that already exist in the game? I don't think that exists in the game, does it? Verisium cuffs. They do? Yeah, okay, they do. All right.
An example is Triskelion Cascade. Using it will cause your next spell to be triggered multiple times in a
They
Triskelion
do. They're
pattern.
already there.
You can use it with skills like Ice Nova that you cast from yourself, or with something you target at a distance, like Comet.
So I reckon they'll do
There
that
are also
with a lot
skills
of
to
things.
modify existing effects using runic magic.
They'll
like
add it
Frost
back
Flame
in.
Nova. Using this skill on a pack of burning enemies will transform the ignite into Frostfire, both burning them and building up freeze at the same time. You have basic buffs like Hollow Shell that guards all nearby allies,
That's pretty strong.
to more complicated mechanics like the Mark of Repulsion that creates a mark capable of pushing away all nearby enemies. Instead of spending mana, like skill gems do, all these skills cost runic ward, and unlike gems, they don't have a color. This means that they don't care about attribute requirements, or what kind of weapon you use. These skills are designed to be used on any class, and so often interact with mechanics that apply across many characters. By combining different runes together, the Kalgurans were able to support their runic abilities, and you can as well. There is also a set of runic supports that can be combined with regular skill gems in interesting ways.
Why is Rolling Slam the focus here? That's what's actually got me interested right now. And like, I keep seeing Rolling Slam like being a go-to, so that's really weird.
Concussive
I bet it's
Runes
been
allows
buffed.
you to add these concussive shockwaves to any skill that stuns. While Runic Infusion lets you spend ward to directly empower the damage on any skill. Now, there are other
So usually Runic Ward resets after a few seconds. Usually I think it's like 4 seconds or 2 seconds or something like that.
quests during the campaign too
Or Ward.
that unlock even more interesting crafting methods. Buried deep in the jungle in Act 3, you can find the Mystic Refuge, containing even more secrets for Pharaoh to learn from. Using this knowledge, he gains the ability to reforge unique weapons. With this technique, many low-level
Yeah, this is really, really strong. So basically, reforging, what are we at? 1350. Reforging uniques is absolutely crazy. It basically means that you can take low tier uniques, reforge them, and essentially use them in upper tier builds. And God only knows like some of the stuff that you can do with that because it gets pretty
unique
crazy.
weapons can be upgraded.
Like this here, right? Slam skills you use yourself cause an additional aftershock, which basically gives you an absolutely enormous... I haven't watched the Chris Wilson interview, but I want to run through the Q&A as well. Yeah, see? This is a new hammer. That's an entirely new hammer. Oh, can we save that down? Just chuck that. We'll do a video just covering off on this stuff. Video 400. Here we two things we missed. Why not? We'll call it that. New hammer base type. All right. That's really cool. Yeah, so it's a totally new hammer. I've never seen it before. It's not in the base, not in the base kit.
To do significantly more damage. Now, we've been able to take a bunch of uniques that had interesting modifiers.
So hear me out. Thorns items, crazy OP. Absolutely crazy OP. So you think of like the Thorns boots and the Thorns gloves are used in Thorns builds, then this is basically going to be, so what's this? Thorns buff. But because, yeah, like if you can do that, that's crazy.
but were not in-game viable, and give them a bit of a boost to get there. And it's not just low-level uniques. All Kalguran uniques are able to be runeforged this way too, and they.
So let's just have a look at some of the absolutely stupid crap that you can do with this, right? Because this gets pretty wild. So if we look at unique items, okay, this is unique items in PoE, right? So this is an absolutely game-changing addition to the game, if you want to call it that. Hey, dude, how's it going, man? So we take low-tier items. That's exactly it. It was they tried, if you guys remember in point 2, they buffed a lot of uniques up, but they just didn't meet the cut, right? So if we look at some of the items in the game, right, we have 74 unique weapon types alone, right? So basically, we could try thought. I'm gonna go monk, I think, at this stage, because I haven't played monk and I really want to play pugilist. But so we could run, for example, we could have Brynhand's Mark, right? That could be significantly buffed up. The big one here is Frost Breath. So basically, all damage from hits contributes to freeze buildup, culling strike against frozen enemies, and this base, if it goes up pretty high, could be pretty good, right? Trench Timber's already OP. If you watch the a creator by the name Circle something Games, he did a minion attack speed thing with Titan, which is going to totally get nerfed. Sculpting Suffering, again, like you could actually use this viably if you could buff the base damage up, right? And in this case, that could be really good. That's usually Trefina in this case. Always deals crits against heavy stunned enemies with increased attacks. Usually it used to be the Tripanion. So this is a pretty bad item, right? But with that, basically, if we could get the base damage up on this, then that could be very good. What's on the mall that auto crits on stun? This one here, Trefina. So, yep, we got Brain Rattler. So if you want to run Lightning proc, right? Previously, we couldn't run this very well because we just couldn't get the damage output on it. But now we could run a Brain Rattler's build because if we can buff the item up. But the stuff that I'm really interested in is things like, what is this? Was it Shiyaba, which gives you 50% increased attack speed and always hits. Like, have a think about that. If this has base damage, decent levels of base damage, and you can dual wield these, then you can do absolutely ballistic levels of damage with them. Like, they're just super fast. It applies to all uniques, I'm pretty sure. Let's just go back and have a look. Yeah, it's all uniques. So we'll just go back a little bit.
The ability to reforge unique. Using this knowledge, he gains the ability to reforge unique weapons.
It's any unique, dude. It's absolutely any unique. So on that basis, you don't even need to, like, there's no such thing as like any, uniques that don't apply to it, right? That would mean like then you would have 100%. So this is where stuff gets pretty wild. Okay, let's look at Quinsholi, right? So basically 100% chance to crit, but no extra damage. Well, you guys tell me what you can do if you have 100% crit chance, right? And you can dual wield this, or you have cause enemies to explode after kill. The obvious thing, cast on crit. So if you have 100% crit chance on a melee character, right, and you're running speed or even not speed, like whatever, and now there's also the ability to run empowered spells as well after you've warcried. So that means that potentially you could do something like this, and you can make 100% spell crit build or crit build, right? Cast on crit build. Seem to have build defining it. Yeah, now we have build defining uniques. Like, this is a thing. Like, people are upset about no swords, but I don't think what we really don't understand here is how powerful these changes actually are to the end game. Tidebreaker becomes viable. All damage from hits to this weapon constitute to chill magnitude and causes up to 200% increased crit buildup. From what I understand, and I haven't watched the Q&A yet, but what I understand so far is that the skill levels don't really matter as much anymore. So what we should see is this skill. Hey, Paraf. The skill level thing reducing and the base weapon increasing, or just like damage in general. And on that basis, then, you know, things like Tidebreaker, like basically all weapons without gem levels is going to be a lot more potent. Hammer of Faith, again, this doesn't even have bad base damage. It just didn't have a lot of use cases. If we can buff this up, it's fantastic. Same applies with stuff like what was was it the Splinter of Lorata? So any number of poisons from this weapon can be inflicted on a target at a single point in time. So basically, we could have a high speed build and then basically do huge amounts of proc and damage. Yeah. So they've nerfed skill levels. So I'm totally okay with them nerfing skill levels, because that was always problematic, and it was part of their new approach. Yeah, so on that basis, you know, it just makes it a far easier process to level up builds and build defenses. So if you're not worrying about damage so much, then basically, you know, and you're worrying about defense, then you can have a more balanced character. Sky Sliver, again, rolls only minimum maximum damage, but you know, if we can buff this up, it's actually usable, because right now totally unusable. We've got Tangle Tongue. Not well. We know that was pretty strong. All these uniques, like even Sather's Spear becomes far more viable, like using bleed builds, for example, a chance to bleed on hit if the base damage is higher. Yeah, exactly. Like everything becomes better. Even Bloodthorn. So if you want to run a monk build that does physical damage and bleed, for example, if we can upgrade this to a higher tier version. Even stuff like the Sentry. Like at this point, there was absolutely no functional way to make this item possibly workable, right? It was just crap. Now we potentially can run Fire Monks. Pillar of the Cage God, who knows, dude? Like it could be better. Like I would say be base damage increases, but it may scale up more. Not too sure. Hey Rudari, how's it going, dude? Like this item here, the Metzia, again, like this could have a far better effect as well. Like who knows what we use it for, but it basically just gives us far more, like, you know, collapsing horizon. Trigger skill refund, half of energy spent, 100% increased elemental damage, which could be a pretty significant effect to trigger skills. But basically, where this is going with this, like Terran Shiver, again, far more powerful. We've got things like, oh, where is it? Whispering Ice. So Whispering Ice is far more potent now with that change. At Series Rule, we don't really care about too much, to be honest with you. Like it is a good item, but there's a lot of benefits from this. And the other things that we don't see there is, can we apply this to now Sacred Flame, for example? Pillar Coach, maybe it might. We don't know. Like we won't know until we test all these things. But there's just like a lot of potential power that we can get out of this, which is really cool. This one here, like, so we're getting a Spirit Walker build in the game, right? So then if we run like this, you know, item in particular to get Cackling Companions, if that brings that up to like Grant Skill level 18 Cackling Companions, and then you can have hyenas following you while, you know, you have all your other minions and whatnot, this actually becomes very viable. And I'd say that would also happen. Yeah, man, like there's tons of cool shit that you can do with this. So what else? Seeing Stars, energy generation is doubled. You could have this as offhand with like a cast and crit build. Fury of the King would potentially make you far more powerful. And we haven't even really like jumped into like unique armors. So then, and I might do a video just talking about this, like similar to what I'm doing right now. So like Bramblejack, previously totally useless, right? Now, if we can increase the damage output to get 250% of melee physical damage taken reflected to attacker to a viable number, then this could actually be a decent item. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. There's all like these low tier uniques that just did not make a whole lot of sense, that now just, you know, will turn into like, you know, you might see someone run an endgame bristlebore for some reason. Ashren may actually be viable and actually might have decent stats on it. What else have we got? So we just keep going through. Like brisk wrap, right? Is a pretty bad item, but if we can bring the level of that up, then gain deflection rating equal to 20 to 30% of evasion rating with a high level of base evasion actually makes this viable. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's another one. Where was that item? It's down here somewhere, isn't it? Moral of the story, like even down to like Necromantle was totally unusable. But then, you know, minions revive 50% faster, and then they have up to 30% life as extra energy shield would make them pretty immortal at a late tier if this item's actually viable. So it makes like all of these endgame, these endgame items far more vital. Now, the other one here, Iron Grasp, and I didn't even think about this. So basically, like people running like Brutus Lead Sprinkler with strength stacking, right? So if you went Oracle, you then rune crafted your chest to bring this up to spec, right? And then you ran like Iron Will and then run spell damage per rage on Oracle or whatnot. This would actually make it very, very strong. So you would be able to do all the benefits of the strength stack plus like high level of defensibility. There's tons of stuff that I think is broken. How can we look through, tell what counts as companion? That's all going to be reworked, I feel, dude. I feel like a lot of that is going to come down to a rework scenario. Coming Calamity becomes a much more lucrative item. Wayshaper, this one actually was pretty cool to think about, but never really had any viability. Now potentially is. We've got Cold Reverse Chill. Reverse Chill becomes more viable because the chest armor is more viable. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I don't think they're going to nerf skills. Like if they don't nerf skills, but they bring up the base stats of skills, I think is what's going to happen. So they're going to scale better as you go through the game. And then basically the level later on becomes like less of a thing. And to be honest with you, I'll tell you what game does exactly this. Path of Exile 1. It's exactly how skills work in Path of Exile 1. Except for spell skills and minion skills. They are the ones that resonate the most with gem level. Melee skills it doesn't really matter what you do at gem level. Even like Thrill Steel, this could be a viable endgame item. In fact, could be using, and like potentially you could buff Constricting Command. Like things that weren't used is Mrix's Uxa. Again, buffed. So the fact that we can now runecraft or runeforge our gear means that basically any unique that you see now can be put into an essentially an endgame variation, and it could be incredibly powerful. It's for gear as well, from what I understand. I think they tested it in the next thing.
With this technique, many low-level unique weapons can be upgraded to do significantly more damage. Now, we've been able to take a bunch of uniques that had interesting modifiers, but were not in-game viable, and give them a bit of a boost to get there. And it's not just low-level uniques. All Kalguran uniques are able to be runeforged.
So when they say it's unique weapons, not armors.
This way too. And they can do some pretty interesting things. Like Searle's Grit, a new unique, which when runeforged can get one of several different outcomes.
So this stacking of physical damage thorns per runic plate, I'm interested to see how much runic plate you can actually stack. That would be pretty awesome.
Now, there is still so much more that you can craft with remnants. There are all...
Yeah, I just realized that. So they're saying weapons. So then you put like runic ward on your armor. Yeah, so armor gets the ward buff, which means that you would have a second life pool with ward. Then you would have better weapons at ward. It's just a far better system.
Also 100 new runes, as well as many other new crafting currencies.
So we got maximum elemental resistance.
This is the runes of Alder.
So tower shields, 8% increased attack speed if you have blocked recently, but the big one here is limited to 1.
After all, and some of these runes have
yeah, they're all limited to 1. That's pretty bad. I don't like that.
Quite powerful effects. For example, This elemental conversion rune will convert all the existing mods on a non-unique weapon from one element to another. Using it, you could combine a weapon with
This is really strong. So you could basically make a crappy item, and you could make a crappy item not crappy.
all 3 elemental damage mods into a single element, making...
And I'll tell you where this is really strong. So this is really strong when you're trying to make a build like, for example, like a fire monk or something like that, where it's not conventionally made to do that type of build. Now, basically, you can craft the element that you need as the base damage stat and then proc that up and make it more powerful and potent. And this is actually pretty strong. So if you want to do like a fire warrior with a quarterstaff, right, because obviously there's a lot of fire nodes near there, you can now do that, and you can now make a weapon that meets that stat proficiency.
A weapon with massive amounts of cold damage.
Probably.
There is also a rune that lets you destroy your rune sockets to turn them into a dual socket on your item.
So the question there is like, number one, if you corrupt, does that mean that you still get an extra third dual socket if you hit the right corrupt? And does this work with the monk, the new ascendancy on the monk? Because it means if it did still work with the ascendancy on the monk, then you could double the amount of sockets that you could have, where you could have all the base runes you wanted to put in the actual ascendancy. And then basically you could have, you know, everything else with jewels stacked in, which would actually be really, really strong, which is one of the reasons why I really, really like the new martial artist ascendancy on the monk.
And there are even crafting meta runes that can unlock new types of mods when used with regular crafting. For example, this rune of chronomancy will unlock a set of time-related mods to be crafted on your boots. Once placed inside, use regular crafting orbs to attempt to get new mods like cooldown speed or...
I think that will work that way. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a benefit to the ascendancy point. Hey,
increase
Arcanon.
skill effectuation. You can also create a new type of currency called alloys. Using regular metals alloyed with veracity.
What's that? Glove revenants can be collected from... Oh, shit. So, basically, you could have it where you collect revenants from up to 50% greater distance. Increased presence of area. That's interesting. They may be leaning back into that stat. Increased mana cost efficiency up to 20%. Temporary minions have +1 to limit of minion summon. That's actually quite... That's going to be worth a lot because Spirit Walkers are going to use temporary minions to a degree, and that could be quite powerful.
Modifiers not normally available can be directly crafted onto your items.
Exactly.
Using...
So you guys tell me, if you can do that and it works with a certain item, what do you think about the price of Adorn this league? It's actually going to increase the value of running ultimatums. So if you get an Adorn roll, if you can roll that many jewel sockets, and the jewel sockets can be used for Adorn stacking, then Adorned actually becomes quite profitable, because basically it'll be a chase unique for pure power, because it just makes sense. Like if you can stack like 10 jewel sockets and then Adorn stack the stats that you need, technically you could throttle the crap out of damage or throttle the crap out of everything. It's pretty good. It's a lot of fun.
Viewed alloy
Yeah, Adorn will be through the roof. Adorn will be so expensive.
could improve your ailment damage, for example.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, the other thing is voice is limited to 1. I think it's limited to 1. It doesn't work on socketed rings, but it could work on everything else.
There are honestly so many options here that unlock all sorts of crazy crafting projects. So I think people will be experimenting with these for a long time. Once you get to King's March in Act 4, Pharaoh finally meets Danig, a real Kalguran runesmith. And riddled with excitement, he wants to learn how to merge modern Kalguran techniques with the ancient knowledge that he has found. From here on, Pharaoh joins in the Kalguran expeditions that Danig has been leading. With the ancient knowledge that Pharaoh brings to the table, the Kalguran expeditions that Danig has been going on will change significantly. For those of you who haven't played it, the Expedition League mechanic involves carefully placing explosives, uncovering the buried dead, and recovering vericium from them. By choosing where to place the explosive...
Oh, yeah, in the Q&A or in the what?
You can choose which kind of challenges you'd like to face, or rewards you would like to claim. But unlike before, expeditions now contain the remnants from Runes of Alder, allowing you to do some specific crafts along the way using the new League crafting mechanic. One very important difference from the simple remnant encounters though, is that the empowerments that the remnants grant apply to every monster down the explosive line for the rest of the encounter,
I'm gonna watch that next.
stacking together. This can lead to some
I've seen the new the lightning-based belts. They look sick.
pretty extreme situations. If you stack too many remnants, you might be in for a fight beyond your abilities, but the rewards can be very worth it. Each mod on the monster is improving the items that they can drop. Once you get to the endgame, you will find that the Atlas has changed substantially. To the south, you will now find the coastline of Rayclast, with the ocean beyond. Kingsmarch has not fared well after the Cataclysm, and lays in ruins. Rog's shop has been destroyed, but he is much more concerned about his wife, Gwenyn. He would like to launch an expedition deep into the ocean to find her, and this begins a new major mechanic for expedition, exploring the ocean. Previously, a logbook was a single encounter. Now, using a logbook, you can send ships to explore an area of the ocean to the southeast, uncovering a range of islands to begin your search for Gwenyn. You can hop from island to island, doing many new encounters. There are islands with expeditions, grand expeditions,
I don't know, man. I think it's good that we know what's coming because we have a bit of an idea. And also we get to... That better not be like a weird... okay, is that something that they said? Let's have a look at that quickly.
Cool things. You know, like you're like, okay, here's an ascendancy class, but look, there's a hidden node, and if you do this quest line, then you like commune with the dreamer, and then like the
I heard about this. So basically, there's the community. There's a hidden ascendancy for was it the monk or whatever it is.
it unlocks this modifies the class like slightly, so it's got this extra node in it, and just stuff like that. There's just lots of things like that.
Yeah.
You know, like there's like hidden. It's like here's this hidden passage on this one particular map, and if you walk past it with a specific item, then the rune will glow, and then if you walk up to it, the door opens, and then inside there's like a crafting bench, and then on that thing you can like take these things, and you know, there's just the stuff like that.
So they might have like might have unique crafting benches, which is actually pretty cool. What was that? 1941. Chris Wilson interview. Keep notes of this stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, to be honest with you. It's very different.
new bosses, and all sorts of other unique things to find. Eventually, you will find the island that Gwenyn has been holed up on. It turns out that she has found the tomb of an ancient Kalguran, Medved. While she appreciates you coming to her rescue, she is still keen to blow open the doors of the vault and take whatever you can find inside. It's just a shame that Medved isn't as dead as you previously assumed. Now, after you have defeated Medved, you will find another logbook. And this time you can use it to choose which direction you want to explore. The ocean is vast and contains a huge number of new islands to find. With each logbook, you can explore one sector and you can go as deep as you like. There are all sorts of interesting objects to uncover and dungeons to explore. Many of the islands have expeditions with totally new mechanics. So for example, here is a volcanic island with voltaxic sulfite.
I thought this was pretty
will
cool.
Unleash extra waves of enemies.
Thanks for the super chat.
There is also
Radion.
this wall
Appreciate it,
with
dude.
a suspicious light coming from behind it.
I'm not sure why.
On blowing it open, a giant ogre comes out, and he is determined to eat as much sulfite as possible. The more sulfite mounds that you have blown up, the more empowered and the more rewarding he will become. These islands contain all sorts of little secrets that you can find and blow up. Free trapped wisps, blow open root doors,
Yeah.
even raise ancient precursor technology. And of course, more bosses. There are more and further vaults to blow up, and one of them in particular is pretty important. The Tomb of Uhtred, the Star Dream.
So if he's saying that there's precursor technology, potentially there's precursor items, which could be things like precursor emblems and all sorts of stuff like that.
Okay. Uhtred was responsible for calling down the meteors of Verisium, which the Kalgurans used to power their ancient magic. And upon defeating him, he calls down a truly gigantic one into the ocean nearby. On visiting it, you find that it is shrouded by a strange energy emanating from the Verisium core of the meteor within. There is something growing in there, and it can't be anything good. In order to gain entry, Danik suggests that the Triskelion Flame, an ancient Kalguran artifact that can absorb and cancel the effects of Verisium magic, could be used to enter. But to find it, you will need to locate the Tomb of Olroth, leader of the Knights of the Sun. Defeat him and gain access to whatever eldritch nightmare is growing inside.
There's just so many new like proper bosses in the game and bosses taken from PoE1. It's really good. Like there's always some sort of good challenge. It's not pointless.
Now, we're not going to spoil the boss, but one thing you should know is that the Verisium that makes up the core of the meteor is of a quality that has not been available for millennia. Bringing this to Pharaoh and Danik should allow them to forge some objects of power, the creation of which has been lost to time. So that's the League, and there is a lot going on. To sum all that up,
I'm gonna go
there is a
monk.
new encounter with over 30 new monster types and over 30 new rune modifiers to enhance them. You can create more than 100 new runes to craft your gear, as well as dozens of other new currency items. And there are new quests added to the...
Yeah, so this was a really interesting one, right? And I saw this from one of the comments that Jonathan Rogers made, and it was around the fact that this is a successor to Path of Exile 1, right? They specifically made that comment. All the changes that we see here is basically they've tested what they wanted to test, come to the conclusion this is the best approach for the game. And I feel like they're just going to go, okay, well, why change the wheel? Let's just put in all the cool content and all the tech and all the rest of it and make it like the PoE 1.5 approach that they were originally planning on doing. And I think that's the right answer. Like the bosses, who know, we'll see how the balance plays out and everything else. But I think that, yeah, it's going to be pretty good.
campaign to unlock even more new crafting options. Rune forging
I think it's going to be fun.
armors, upgrading uniques, dozens of new Kalguran skills and supports, tons of new islands to discover by exploring the ocean,
Yeah, they could.
5 new bosses, including a new pinnacle boss,
Yeah, they said that they didn't spoil it, and then next minute they show the bloody boss that's like come down from the, it's crazy.
and a bunch of new uniques to top it off. But there is still a ton more to come. It's time to talk about the massive changes to the endgame. But for that, I'll hand it back to Jonathan.
Now, as Mark hinted at before, the endgame atlas is very different now, and the ocean to the south is the least of the changes. The entire area around your start...
Oh, this is pretty good. Like, I was a bit worried at a certain point but it seems to be that they've listened to the community, you know, the opinion to get the game in the right direction on the basis of fun. And I think they've just shifted straight in the direction of it. Like the ability to runecraft uniques, you've got secondary HP pool that you can have with Ward now. Ward is spendable. It means you don't have to spend always 100% mana. There's like accessibility across the board, heaps of crafting, and hopefully they drop in abundance. If the loot tables are good and the ground drops are good, this should be a very good patch.
Location is now teeming with new questlines and things to discover. Will you investigate the strange forest to the west, the cracks in the earth to the east, or perhaps visit the ruins of a Val city in the north? The Atlas now has fixed points of interest at specific locations, giving you specific objectives that are easy to find. Like before though, no matter which objective you choose, going to towers to see what's out there is always a good idea. The first time you do that though, something new happens.
Yeah, I think Ward will be stop getting, yeah, if you got enough Ward, you won't get insta-clapped by bosses moving forwards, and that's a really good change.
The earth shakes, and a gigantic fortress rises from the earth, a remnant of the ancient precursor civilization. The cataclysm of the beast has caused an ancient protocol to be invoked. Should corruption ever take hold to this degree, the world must be scoured and purged of corruption. You will need to make your way into the fortress and activate.
I want that stave, that spear, and also that spear's pretty easy to get working.
The gates.
Yeah, we can. Yep.
Gain the keys
You can craft Ward on every bit of gear that you have.
to reach these ancient precursor weapons and disarm them. But this will be no easy task. The fortress has many areas to explore and many new things to find. You will power up ancient machines, fight new and deadly foes, discover many new areas, and uncover some dark secrets. Now, the Fortress is the first of the new full endgame storylines that we're adding in 050, and there's a lot going on with it. But not only that,
I'm not sure.
but there's some pretty cool new mechanics as well. The areas inside the Fortress are special. Many of them have new mechanics or rewards that they grant. Like this map, where all the rares are contained in essence crystals. Or this one, which replaces all monster packs in the area with strongboxes. Or this one, which spawns an Asmeri spirit that always moves on from a rare after you kill it, allowing you to chase it through the entire map. Now, just like the normal areas of the Atlas, you'll need to fight the map boss of each area to complete the map. But unlike a normal map, the ones in the fortress each contain precursor nodes after the boss, and activating these nodes will give you points for the new and improved Atlas passive tree. Now, we had an Atlas passive tree before, but it was one of the areas of the endgame that just wasn't up to scratch. The Atlas tree now works quite a lot differently.
I'd say they sped the game up partially, and I'd say there's a lot more accessibility to movement speed.
We have significantly upgraded the kind of mechanics that you can find on the Atlas tree. Like this one, that gives a chance to make rogue exiles you fight retreat from combat and move to an adjacent map. Before you fight them again, they'll upgrade their gear and come back with a grudge this time. There are also a lot of nodes that combine mechanics together in new ways, like this one, which lets Asmeri spirits possess strongboxes. All the regular monsters that come out of them are touched by the spirit, and the rares are all possessed, giving you some incredible loot potential.
I want to know why Rolling Slam is what they're featuring on everything. Rolling Slam was a relatively unused and bad skill, and now they're featuring it. I'd say they've buffed all of the melee skills up.
You get points from every single area you complete in the fortress, and unlike before, that means you can allocate the entire Atlas tree. Yes, this whole tree can be yours. This change is pretty important since it allows us to be able to create many types of bonuses that we wouldn't have been able to create before. Like this one, which gives a chance for cities to be invaded by another faction.
So here's the thing. The progression here is absolutely huge. So like you're not going to have that tree done at least like 1 or 2 weeks. You know, if someone really goes 24/7, it's going to take a lot to get that tree completed. And so basically like there's tons of chase there, and you'd expect by the time you get to that point, you've already got a fully decked out character, tons of currency, and you've done like a heap of stuff. But also while you've been decking that tree out, you won't have been targeting the other content to deck those trees out. So you're going to have to target farm. So basically there's tons and tons and tons that you can do with this.
You can even allow it to contain 2 faction leaders, allowing you to get 2 crisis frames.
This is insane, by the way. Like this is just like an insane fight. And this sort of stems to the fact that I think that they've overhauled defenses to a degree.
If we'd done this kind of thing in the old tree,
like have a look at this, right? So like I'll get my big head out of the way here. So like when you look at this and you look at the way that the health bar's behaving,
we'd have wanted to spec into it before running a city map, then unspec
like,
out of it before running anything else.
He's not taking huge amounts of damage.
Location, we can have cool bonuses like these. Now obviously we still want to make sure that you have choices that define your in-game Atlas build. So many nodes in the Atlas tree are now multi-choice. Everyone will get the node, but which bonus you choose to use is up to you. Do you want your powerful boss maps to contain more essences, summoning circles, or rogue exiles? But this
is the thing, Logic, like the end game was always the target, right? And there was a group that were like, oh, they only play for the campaign. Like the devs know the campaign is the tutorial. The end game is where the real content's sort of locked behind. And so like they're making it very clear that this is a total rework of Endgame with that as the view, as it is in Path of Exile 1. This is not a Dark Souls game, and on that basis, that's what the target really is. It's similar to any other ARPG. You play the campaign once, you have to play it every single like patch and every single release. And so the end game is where the content needs to be. And so for the people who only play for the campaign, they'll play it once, get bored, call it, you know, one and done sort of scenario. For the players that are going to stay for the long term and really dig into the game and want to play builds and play content, this is where the game is heading in the direction of.
Also nodes that contain more unusual things. So for example, on this node you can choose. Do you want to give a chance for shrines to instead be given to the map boss in the area, making them more challenging but dropping special loot? Or would you rather give a chance to be given a shrine buff before entering boss arenas, making for an easier fight? Now, I could probably nerd out about cool stuff in the tree all day, but we should probably get back to the fortress. Now, one of the really important things we wanted to do was make it so that all the boss fights in the endgame are now accessible with a quest line. That means that to fight the Arbiter of Ash for the first time, you don't need to get lucky by finding keys. They will be in fixed locations and there's a quest to get them.
That's pretty good.
But the Arbiter of Ash is no longer the pinnacle of Path of Exile 2. For that, you'll need to travel into the very center of the fortress. An incredible challenge awaits you should you choose to go there.
I'll tell you where they got this idea from. Someone over there must watch the anime Hell's Paradise, because in season 2 this is exactly how Hell's Paradise plays out.
After the storyline, you still unlock keys for pinnacle bosses in the usual way, exploring the world and finding the keys required to get to them. But we have added a lot more interesting things to find out there as well. There are now all sorts of mechanics that can spawn on maps in the wilderness. For example, some maps might spawn as a rogue exile hunting ground, containing multiple rogue exiles who are there to hunt rare beasts. You might come upon them in the middle of a fight and be able to take out both of them. Or a map of champions that makes all the natural inhabitants of the area into magic monsters. Or this one that causes all shrines in the area to release as merry spirits when used.
I'd say it gets reset once you complete the pinnacle, or like the pinnacle boss.
Once you have explored and found your keys, you can return to fight the pinnacle in the fortress again. But this version of him will be harder. And not only that, he will have new unique rewards as well. Each time you fight him, you get the ability to activate one section of the fortress, and any maps that you didn't finish there will be automatically completed, giving you all the Atlas points. So if you're the type of player who doesn't want to explore the fortress, and instead just race out into the infinite Atlas, you still have a way to get all those points. So that's the Origins of Divinity storyline. It's a huge amount of new content with a ton of new areas, 5 new bosses, including a pinnacle, with a bunch of new unique items. But not only that, it also completely revamps the Atlas tree, and includes a ton of new map mechanics that you can find both inside and outside the fortress. But this is just one of the new storylines.
Like, you know, if you're fighting two like bosses like that with like rolling slam and you're not instantly dying, you either have like the most OP build ever, or they've buffed defenses up. I thought they made a Warcry build.
Masters of the Atlas. Now, earlier we talked about how the multi-choice nodes in the tree allow you to still have an in-game Atlas build, but we didn't think that was quite enough. You have an ascendancy class for your passive tree. Why not an ascendancy class for your Atlas tree? Well, that's where the Masters of the Atlas come in. Throughout Rayclast are many opportunities for those with the skills to find them. Atlas Masters are willing to train you in these skills if you're able to help them in return. One such master is Jado, a member of the Order of the Jinn, an organization that secures powerful artifacts to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. Jado will send you on missions to investigate strange occurrences on the Atlas and recover the artifacts causing them. And for each one you recover, he will gain more trust in you and teach you more ways of the Order of the Jinn. At level 1, you could choose to massively increase the chance for rare and unique chests, or make it so that all map bosses drop an additional unique item, or make corrupted...
Just see that?
Make it so that all map bosses...
Pristine waystones. So what does that mean? What is a pristine waystone? So is that 3118? Does that mean that we have new tiers of waystones? And I think from the art that we saw, I'd say that is the case. So that means that we have like new, like multi-tiers or layers of waystones. Tier 4? No, but it's tier 4, but is that what a tier 4 is called?
Drop an additional unique item, or make corrupted waystones have an additional modifier, but at the cost of making them send you to a totally unknown location. Each mission you complete for Jado will unlock another row of abilities and give you another point to allocate, letting you choose how you want to specialize. But there are other masters too. For example, Hilda. Hilda is a member of a guild of monster hunters. She will send you on missions to assassinate specific deadly creatures around Rayclast and harvest their parts. In exchange, she will teach you her monster hunting skills, like this one, which adds a 25% chance to upgrade any map boss to a powerful version. Or this one, which makes his Marian spirits no longer possess rare monsters, making them go for the unique bosses in the area instead. You might notice that many of the effects on these are both upsides and downsides. So Hilda, for example, can make it so that you only get one attempt when fighting pinnacle bosses, but in exchange for that, they always drop 2 uniques. Because of that, we wanted it to be easy to swap between them depending on what you're doing. As you unlock each master, they will appear on the side of the screen. Simply click whichever one you want to use to run the map, and all the bonuses you have selected for that master. Simply click whichever one you want to use to run the map, and all the bonuses.
Missed it.
Here on the side of the screen. Simply click whichever one you want to use to run the map, and all the bonuses.
Alright, so we have Rotting Bearing, Refined Waystone, Tier 1. I would say so. No, I would say that it would be the base monster, base beast. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be whatever version of it, but I'm not too sure. That could be a thing. They were explaining masters for Q&A. They wanted more input, but didn't have time. Yeah, they already had the masters originally in Path of Exile 1, and you used to level them up. Like they had Masters of Forsaken Masters, it was called. Yeah, so this is definitely interesting. So there are now multiple tiers Yeah, that's a really good question. We don't have rarity on waystones. So 32, 34 waystone rarity is gone. Or is the waystone rarity, or is it linked with the tier, like not the tier, but the version or quality of the waystone? So I think there's a quality system here. So basically, you would have like a pristine waystone, refined waystone. Different versions of waystones would probably carry default variations of item rarity without item rarity being an explicit stat. Possibly. So maybe they've overhauled item rarity. They do. So maybe the item rarity is global and it's progression based. Possibly. I would say that that's the case. I would say that rarity is no longer appended to gear. So maybe we don't need to do item rarity on gear, no more on gear, and no more on maps. So that means that on that basis, if you don't need to run item rarity on gear, well, it would mean that you would just have to make sure that whatever you're farming and your stats would be like rarity based, but you would have to compromise other things. Are you sure? Possibly, it could be. It probably is monster effectiveness. So it could be a change to overall too. Monster effective. What's that?
Bonuses you have selected for that master will be activated. This allows you to have a few different strategies that you can quickly pick between, depending on what you're running at the moment. Now, one thing that's been pretty obvious is that the in-game leagues we created when launching Early Access in 010 were not really up to the standard of the leagues we did since then. Fate of the Vaal and Rise of the Abyssal just have a lot more going on than Delirium or Expedition, for example. We wanted to do a serious upgrade to all of these mechanics before we do our 1.0 release, and so that's what we've done. All 4 of the leagues we launched in Early Access have been upgraded with not only new quest lines, but new mechanics, new crafting systems, new uniques, and new pinnacle bosses. One of the really important changes we made to all the leagues is that you can now find them on the Atlas in specific locations, and each one has a quest line that will lead you there to being able to complete the league, along with its Atlas tree and its pinnacle boss.
Oh, if the master node's 100% increased rarity, then we got nothing to worry about. Sorry, I can't see the thing. I'm not too sure why my browser mod isn't working, but it's just totally weird.
This is true even for the leagues that we didn't do major redesigns to. So let's use Abyss as an example. When you first encounter one in the endgame, you'll get a quest that leads you to the east, where you will find these mega abyss cracks in the earth leading away from the Well of Souls. All the maps along the cracks will contain abysses with special properties, and mapping along these cracks will close the Atlas scale abysses, giving you points for the Abyss Atlas tree. At the end of each Atlas Abyss, you'll find an Abyssal Depths, with the boss fight for one of the Abyssal factions, giving you a guaranteed way to fight them. And after completing all 3, you'll get a key for the Well of Souls, allowing you to fight the Vessel of Kulamak. This kind of thing makes an in-game league so much more friendly for new players, giving people obvious goals and a guided experience to complete them. Alright, so let's talk about the first of the upgraded leagues, Delirium, and its new storyline, The Hare and the Raven. As you may remember, during Act 4 you were tricked into releasing an ancient entity from a Karui prison known as Tangmazu, the Raven Trickster. Tangmazu delights in breaking the minds of those who step through his mirrors, and when touching one, he will attempt to destroy your mind with twisted abominations generated from your worst fears. In Return of the Ancients, the first time you approach one of his Delirium encounters in the endgame, you will find Elder Maddox locked in a trance. His mind is trapped in one of Tangmazu's delusions, and you will need to free him.
So good, man.
Once free, Elder Maddox demands that as you caused this problem, you should put it right.
It's totally different skills and setups,
dude. To the Withered Willow, the location he believes that Tangmazu first gained his powers. But be careful. As you travel there, the Raven Trickster will attempt to break your mind. Each map around the Withered Willow features Delirium encounters. Now this is more than a simple quest upgrade. The mechanic of Delirium has been overhauled and expanded. At the bottom of the screen, there is now a bar that indicates how deep into Delirium you are. You can see which direction leads deeper by looking at the fog, and the deeper you go, the more challenges you will face. By looking at the bar, you can see how long you have until the Delirium ends. And you can also see special encounters that you will face if you're able to go deep enough into the fog. At the end of the bar is always the boss of the map, but we now have a variety of other encounters that you might find as you explore the horrors of your own mind. For example, you might encounter a purple mirror shard that when shattered will cause all the enemies to become more nightmarish. After hitting this, you'll notice the Delirium demons are enhanced, significantly more powerful, larger, and scarier in general, along with more rewards. Or should you encounter a red mirror shard, you'll be sent into the depths of your mind.
The thing that's getting me here is like watching Warrior, and just Warrior seems so strong.
And must escape it while fighting off hordes of your worst fears. If you are able to do so, you will gain a powerful amulet with 2 instilled notables on it. Once you reach the Withered Willow, Elder Maddox discovers that a shard of the mirror is missing. You will need to track down Tangmazu and restore it if you have a hope of discovering how to defeat him. And that means entering the Raven Trickster's mirrors in an attempt
Unless it's like a dev character, but it may not be, and it might literally be that defense stats are that strong now.
to locate him. Each area around the Withered Willow contains Delirium encounters, so that's a good place to start. As you do Deliriums, some of the special encounters will drop liquid emotions. Normally these emotions can be used to instill amulets to add notable passive buffs to them, but in Return of the Ancients, emotions have a new function as well.
Like, they're taking damage. Like, you can see the ES bar going down, but like, you're not seeing any other damage hit them.
Each one now has the ability to add crafted mods
Did
to
they
jewels,
confirm that?
allowing you to add specific mods to an item slot that can be quite difficult to roll. For example, Liquid Despair will allow you to add critical hit chance, while Liquid Suffering will allow you to add movement speed or Air of Effect.
See, this is really good because like I was looking at like builds that I could play with this, and like this is so many options
to your jewels, but there are many more. Once you've done enough Delirium encounters, the location
Freeze, if you have a look at my channel, I did a Smithic Atava theory craft with Brutus Lead Sprinkler last night.
of a grand mirror, an entrance into Tangmazu's realm is revealed, but it won't be that simple to enter. Using his powers, he reflects the map boss for a ridiculous
Thanks,
empowered fight, then destroys the entrance into his realm of madness.
Hey, my chat's working. There we go.
In order to find him now, you'll need to let the insanity fully into your mind. A strange fruit is left behind which you can consume to fully embrace the madness in an attempt to reach the Raven Trickster's realm. Consuming the fruit will cover an entire area of the Atlas in fog, and every map you do in the fog will get progressively harder and harder as you explore the deeper reaches of your mind. At some point you enter a new layer. A simulacrum of your memories, twisted and perverted by the Raven Trickster. Should you be able to complete the simulacrum, Tangmazu will believe that you are worthy of a true challenge, and will let you take the remaining shard of his mirror, allowing you to enter his realm of madness back at the Withered Willow. If you dare to face him, it will be a fearsome challenge.
It really is.
So, that's the new storyline of Delirium. As you can see, it's not only a questline, there are new mechanics, new crafting options, and new boss fights. But one question you might have is, what happens after?
He took damage. I saw it. He took damage, but he took so little damage. And he regened it instantly. I damn well think they buffed up defenses or health.
Well, once you've completed the story, grand mirrors will start appearing on the Atlas.
So, theoretically, Living Weapon is a companion, and technically with all the changes to companions, it should work, but I have no idea.
times after completing Delirium encounters. After doing the Grand Mirror, you can select where on the Atlas you want to do your fruit-induced drug trip and get another key to fight Tangmazu. But this time, the fight will be quite a bit harder, and not only that, the fight will be able to drop a bunch of new uniques that were not available in the questline version.
Maybe.
We'll show some of those later. After doing a Grand Mirror, the decision of where to spread the fog can be important, because there are some potent emotions that only come from certain map bosses affected by Delirium this way. Like all emotions, they can craft special mods onto jewels, but these potent emotions can create mods that you can't get any other way. So for example, Potent Liquid Melancholy is an emotion that can only come from human bosses, and allows you to add a variety of on-hit effects. Also,
see that waystone there? Ancient waystone? Someone mentioned that earlier, and that's, I think it's tiered waystones.
you might want to try instilling amulets with these emotions. They could have some interesting effects, with some powerful notables that do not normally exist on the tree. Like Storm's Rebuke, which makes armor break boost your cold and lightning damage. But also notables from a clearly deranged mind, like Calm's Blessing. This skill allows you to ancestrally boost fire spells after using a Warcry. How about using an Ancestral Flame Blast? Now, just like before, you can also upgrade the League by getting points for a dedicated Delirium Atlas tree. But this now works in a much better way and has much cooler effects. The maps in the Delirium area of the Atlas give you Delirium passive points for completing them, so it's easy to see how to
There'll
progress.
be heaps of new nodes.
Some nodes will add new types of mirror shard encounters.
I'd say, like, if their focus is to decrease the effect, what was it? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, one thing with the skill tree, like if their focus is to reduce the requirement for gem levels, to do that, the skill tree, so if gem levels are up here and skill tree is down here, it means the potency of the nodes have to be shifted to meet that balance point. So I'd say all the skill tree nodes now are far more, or not far more, but yeah, reasonably level more powerful.
Your Deliriums. Like this one, which will pause the Delirium for some amount of time, allowing you to more easily get to higher depths. Or this one, which adds extra Delirium modifiers to monsters when you pick it up. There are also nodes that can add new types of drops, like this one, which modifies Simulacrum encounters to add special liquid emotions, which can craft time-lost jewels. And nodes that apply to the Atlas mechanics of the League, like this one, which causes the Grand Mirror to spread Delirium fog over a larger area of the Atlas, potentially containing multiple simulacrums. Alright, so that's the changes to Delirium. The core mechanic now includes a bunch of new things to find, new monsters to kill, and has new mechanics on the Atlas. It also has new crafting system for jewels, and over 20 new unlockable notables for amulets. Not only that, but you have a new pinnacle boss with a bunch of new unique items, and a massively upgraded Atlas tree just for Delirium. But there's still a lot more to come, so let's talk about Breach next. When you first do a Breach in the endgame, you will find Aelith, one of the Keepers of the Flame, an ancient order of monks dedicated to preventing the Hiveborn from entering the world. As you seem to be a keen slayer of demons, Aelith would like to recruit you to the order and asks that you travel to their monastery to the south. On the way there, you'll start to encounter more breaches, and will notice one of the first changes to the breach mechanic. You still have to kill monsters as fast as you can to keep the breach open.
See that there? I tell you guys, they have buffed it. And usually what happens at higher tier levels of breach, even lower tier on armor-based characters, your health gets whittled away. And that there was sort of like, take a little bit of damage and like, whoop, go back up.
But now you can visibly see how much time you have left to keep it open. And
I'm super keen on Breach. Breach is going to be awesome. I really enjoyed playing Breach.
Each kill extends its duration. Once you've reached the monastery, you will learn more about the Keepers. In the 25 years since the events of Keepers of the Flame in Path of Exile 1, the war with the Hiveborn has not gone well, and they have managed to establish a foothold in the world nearby. A gigantic area has...
I think the idea with this endgame patch is to bring it more in line with the PoE1 endgame, and I think they've just went, okay, that's where it sits. That's how builds should feel. We need defenses, we need balanced offense, and we need to basically get rid of that ridiculous... Did you guys notice this? What the hell is that? Are they placeholders for right now? AOD and AOA. What is... What the hell? All right. We don't know.
Has fallen to the Scourge, and the keepers are unable to get inside. Inside the monastery is the Genesis tree, a powerful asset to the war effort, stolen from the enemy and gifted to the keepers by the Dreamer himself. Using the tree, Aelith could create a breach stone and penetrate the Hiveborn foothold, but without Hive blood, the tree has withered. To get Hive blood, you will need to take advantage of another new mechanic of breach.
Okay.
If you can keep the otherworldly portal open for long enough, the breach will stabilize and will enter a new phase. The Hiveborn will send their toughest miscreations to defeat you, and the breach will not close until you can annihilate them, dropping Hive blood that you can use to restore the Genesis tree.
We got any cool items that we may have missed there?
Or the Genesis tree.
Dreaming Quarterstaff. Was that in the game before? Yeah, it was. Level 78 base. Gut Spike was in there. It's always interesting looking at this. So you can definitely see this is Endgame. Heavy Great Hammer. That was pretty standard.
In some cases, you may even attract one of the deadliest foes the Hiveborn can offer, a Marshal of Zesht.
Ah,
These
there you
monsters
go.
also drop womb gifts.
That was all in there before. Ornate Wound Gift.
And if you take these to the Genesis tree,
Yeah.
they can be used to craft items to help you in the war against the Hiveborn. Given that 25 years have passed since the beginning of the war, the tree has grown and withered many times, but with each cycle it learns and expands its abilities. When you first open the Genesis tree, you will notice these holes into which you can place your womb gifts. Each womb gift can be used to create a different type of jewelry and must be fertilized with Hive blood. So for example, you can place this amulet womb gift into the tree and it will give birth to a random rare amulet. But the Genesis tree is capable of much more. As you continue to feed the tree, its branches will regenerate and allow you more and more control over what kind of items it will birth. So for example, this branch of the tree will allow you to control which base types of amulets can be birthed.
This is going to be very
And as
powerful.
you go deeper, it will even allow you to create new base types that you can't get anywhere else. Like this one, which gives you an entire spirit skill for free.
That's going to be the go-to Ami for most things.
Like this one.
Like, that's insane. Like, if that gives you that spirit skill for free, like, that means if you can have it active for free, that's incredibly strong. Means you got like an extra aura, but you just don't use a unique Ami.
One, which gives you an entire spirit.
Yeah, that's just nuts. Like, and you can tell that there are probably going to be some chase items in there.
Skill for free. Or this one, which has a rune socket in it.
Again, really strong.
To the left and right are branches that will let you control which mods the amulet can get, including making sure that they're higher level, or controlling which specific mods that they will always have. With 15 points to allocate, you will have to choose wisely how you want to specialize your crafts, but it's worth noting that this tree doesn't have any cost to respecking it. You can enable or
pretty good.
disable the nodes at any time by clicking on them. On rings, we've also added some really interesting new crafting options as well. You have a bunch of new base types like these,
That's what I thought too.
but you also have entire new classes of mods that can be added. The right-hand branch of the ring tree adds an entire new set of caster mods to rings. From basics like extra elemental damage for spells,
Yeah.
or more niche options like this mod that increases the rate you gain seals for Unleash. And on the left-hand side, you can unlock an entire new set of mods for minion characters. This stuff is actually pretty important, because casters and minion builds didn't have as many slots with interesting item crafting compared to attack builds. The Genesis tree narrows that gap. There are also trees for
Also
belts
armors.
and currency. I won't go over them too much here, but there are all sorts of goodies in these too, like being able to create new catalysts for jewels,
Pretty
or a
cool.
belt that gives lightning damage.
That's going to be really abused.
Once you've done enough breach encounters, you may finally get a womb gift capable of birthing a breach stone. And you can then use it on the Hiveborn incursion. Once used, the true extent of the Breach Demon's foothold becomes clear. They have not only transformed the land, but constructed huge sky hives as well. When you enter the outskirts of their realm, you will discover breach hives. Using the power of the Keepers of the Flame, these otherworldly structures can be burned away when walking through them. But for each one destroyed, more of the Hiveborn will attack when you attempt to purge the hive.
Yeah.
These encounters are particularly rewarding for womb gifts, so you'll want to do as many of these as you can. But your real goal are the sky hives deeper into the domain. These twisted creations are securing the demon's entry into our world. Inside the very center are the Breach Lord's Tool and Ash.
I can't wait to verse them. And this is what I mean, the new shield that's coming into the game. I reckon it's Tool's shield.
And you'll need to defeat them if you want to get rid of the foothold once and for all. Now, once you've completed the questline version, there is still more to do. You will find other breach domains on the Atlas randomly in your travels. For each one, you will need to find a breach stone, destroy the sky hives, and defeat the breach lords. And doing these encounters is what will give you access to fight Zesht, the existing breach pinnacle boss, which you can access by communing with the Dreamer himself inside the monastery.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
While completing the questline for Breach, you will also be gaining points for the Breach Atlas tree, and there are a lot of cool new options here. This node will cause breach hives to spawn outside of the Hiveborn domains on the Atlas. And this one will give Aelith additional abilities that you can use while attacking a hive. Like this one, which causes all Hiveborn in the next wave to be magic, drastically increasing their difficulty in exchange for way more items. There are also nodes that allow you to control your rewards, like this one, which adds a set of new lineage supports to the Marshal of Zesht.
If those lineage supports are the conversion lineage supports that drop the like 20% extra fire damage as chaos, that's very powerful and makes it so much more accessible.
Or this one, which lets you control which womb gifts you will get. There's also some nodes that affect the Genesis tree, like this one, which will cause Zesh to drop his head, which when
There's a reason why this is called Grasping
returned to the
Orchid,
Genesis tree,
because this is where you would be able to farm Grasping Mail.
will grow a grasping orchid on the side of it. You'll have to experiment to find out what this thing is good for. Putting rings on its fingers seems to make it happy. So that's a rundown of
Yeah, I think this is a good time to start playing, man.
what you can expect from the new Breach questline. There's a new stabilization mechanic for breaches, hive encounters, and Hiveborn incursions on the Atlas. But you also have a huge new crafting system and new bosses as well. Alright, so let's talk about the Rite of the Nameless storyline next. When you first complete a ritual in the endgame, Aoife, a lost spirit, will appear. She appears to need your help, but isn't able to communicate more than a few words, beckoning you to come to the Wildwood. Like the other leagues, Ritual now has a place on the Atlas to call home. The Wildwood could be found to the west. When you first arrive there, Aoife's spirit will guide you in, where you will discover that inside the Wildwood, spirits can take physical form.
So the new Breach Pinnacle boss, Breach Pinnacle boss number 1 is Zesh, right? And then you have the Breach encounter that you fight in the, whatever they're called. That's Tool and Ash, right? And then basically including Zoff is Zesh put together. And so basically that fight is like a pinnacle fight in itself. Then you have Zest, which is a pinnacle fight. So yeah, they didn't really put a new one in because there was no. Well, they're technically in, but they're not in at the same time. And the other thing is you have to fight the marshals, which will spawn within maps.
Aoife has been bound to this place by the King in the Mists, and requests that you free her. But in order to do so, you will need her body, currently in possession of the King. To reclaim it, you will need to gain an audience with him. Inside the Wildwood, there are many ritual encounters to complete. Like before, in each area, triggering rituals will resurrect the nearby bound monsters to attack you, and killing the monsters will give you tribute. In addition, each ritual you do in the area will add the monsters from the previous ritual, making the encounters much more challenging the more ritual.
So I'm going to do a video, Crucial, talking about Expedition. I might do it later on after stream. I really do think it looks very close to Delve. Like, there's a lot of similarities. It's not quite the same, but it's pretty close. It's good.
You complete. Once you've completed them, spend your tribute to
I
get
think
items.
Delve will still be Delve.
Now, an important change to the rewards of Ritual is that all the items in the reward window are now uniques or omens, making this league's rewards much more valuable than before. In order to gain an audience with the Nameless King, you need to sacrifice tribute to him. Any remaining tribute you don't spend can be sacrificed this way to fill up this bar. Once you have enough tribute for an audience, return to the Wildwood to divine his location with the Nameless Shrine. His location will be revealed deeper in the Wildwood, and you will need to make your way to him, kill him, and get Aoife's body. Using her body, you can attempt to release her spirit, but this is when you learn about the true threat of the League. The Wildwood is built on top of an ancient prison. The King in the Mists didn't gain his power out of nowhere. He was granted it by an ancient being of darkness known as the Bodark, and the Nameless King's use of this power has been causing the prison to weaken. In order to prevent the Bodark from entering the world, a champion will need to enter its prison and beat him back, but those with a name are unable to survive there. In order to do so, you will need to transfer your name to another with a new mechanic in the Ritual League, the Rite of the Nameless. The Rite will begin in a nearby forest. At first, it appears to be a regular ritual encounter, but that will soon change. The final ritual of the area will include the map boss, and defeating him will give you a piece of the effigy onto which you will transfer your name. But the ritual is still not complete. Once the map boss is defeated, the atlas will open, and you will need to pick another adjacent map to continue the ritual. During the rite, each adjacent map will have different rewards to tempt you. So for example, if you go in this direction, you gain significantly more tribute. But if you go in this direction, the uniques in the reward window will turn into currency instead. You can also sometimes get offered specific items that will be added as rewards. So in this case, you'll have to choose if you want to get 5 Chaos Orbs or a Mage Blood.
This is disgusting. So basically, Mage Blood, someone picked up that there was an effect in Mage Blood and it gave you up to four trinkets that could be activated in one point in time.
A difficult decision, I'm sure. Now, as this is one continuous ritual, the encounters in the next map won't start from scratch. They contain all the monsters that were gathered from the rituals of the previous map as well, making them harder and harder. And that includes the map boss too. You will need to defeat both map bosses in the final encounter for your next effigy piece. And it still doesn't end there. Pick another map, another reward, and add another map boss to continue until the ritual of the Nameless is complete.
That's insane.
It will take 5 maps in all, and will be an incredible challenge. But once complete, you can return to the Wildwood to perform the final rite. Transfer your name to the effigy, adorn the crown of the Nameless King, and enter the prison. Now of course, once the pinnacle boss is complete, the league doesn't end there. As you do rituals on the Atlas, you can continue to give tribute to the King in the Mists for another audience.
I think the ritual tributes as well, the rituals themselves are just far more profitable as far as or rewarding. It should be super rare. It's a good thing if it is.
Pick another forest to begin the Rite of the Nameless once more, and this time with a harder...
You see that? Just drops like a straight up div.
pinnacle boss, and new unique items to find. Of course, we've also significantly upgraded the Ritual Atlas tree. Get points by completing maps in the Wildwood, and you'll be able to unlock some pretty cool nodes. Some of them affect the Rite of the Nameless, like this one which extends its duration. You thought fighting 5 map bosses at once was hard? How about 6? Or this one, which makes maps during the Rite have more
Omen of greater annulment.
reward mods, often having 2. You also have nodes that allow things to combine with other.
Yeah, look, I am going to say this. I'm going to be putting more time into PoE 2 than PoE 1. This has totally retuned the game in the right direction. And so, like I wanted to long ago, PoE 2 is really going to be the main game on the channel, I think, moving forwards, because this looks really good.
The content, like this one, which.
And I guess we got to progress with time as well. I was sort of hoping that PoE 2 would take this path, and I could not be more happy with the direction that they've decided to go in, because it just ticks like all the boxes, like for fun predominantly.
Gives a chance for rituals to be created inside summoning circles, adding a random boss to the ritual encounter.
And there's so much stuff to experiment with, and more melee to come as well. So like the big thing here is like they're adding in, like, number one, I wanted to play a pugilist character for ages, but like they're adding in a lot of really cool stuff.
There is even a node which adds a new type of possible ritual.
Yeah, I've still been enjoying PoE 1 more, but now I feel like we're moving, like I think the balance changes will swing PoE 2 into a more fun category, and I'm definitely going to probably enjoy PoE 2 more. And also Expedition is basically, like you're saying, it's basically like the new Delve for the time being, and it looks like a lot of fun.
The audience with the Queen, which causes the bride of
Yeah, I couldn't get into D4. Unfortunately, it just feels like crap.
the King to sometimes appear. Okay, so that's ritual. But let's have a look at what this means for endgame content as a whole for Path of Exile 2. When you include the expedition changes made by the League, we have a total of 5 new in-game storylines, each of which has a hub, crafting systems, areas to explore, NPCs, and a pinnacle boss as a capstone. Not to mention the Masters of the Atlas storyline as well. But more importantly, you now have immediate quests as soon as you arrive at the endgame, and goals with obvious progressions that you can see how to finish.
Yeah.
Each in-game questline has a progress bar that you can pop out from the side of the Atlas screen at any time. This shows you how far through you are, and buttons that will take you to the hubs for them. Overall, it's just a way better in-game experience with a significant number of fun objectives to complete. But just in case you didn't have enough goals, we did have one other thing that you might want to complete this league. These are called challenge leagues after all. Where are all the challenges? Well, players of Path of Exile 1 will be used to the fact that each league comes with a series of challenges that you can complete in order to prove that you are indeed the best. We haven't done these yet in Path of Exile 2, but it's time to change that. If you're able to complete them, you'll earn pieces of the Knight of Alder armor set. Opening the challenge screen will show you a series of 8 challenges. After completing each one, anyone in chat or in the forums will be able to see your prowess. In addition, you'll get a statue to put in your hideout showing anyone you trade with how many challenges you've completed. You'll earn the first piece of the armor set after doing 2 challenges, and the full armor set after completing all 8. So that covers all the content you'll encounter in Return of the Ancients. But what about some new tools to fight against these new pinnacles with? Well, we also have some new ascendancy classes as well, but to introduce them, I'll hand you guys back to Mark.
As Jonathan said, we have 2 new classes to show you today, the Spirit Walker and the Martial Artist. Let's start with the Huntress's new class, the Spirit Walker. The Spirit Walker has developed an affinity with the Asmerian animal spirits. She is able to infuse the power of multiple spirits at her choosing.
Yep.
On the bottom part of the class, you will find paths for each wisp you would like to commune with, be they primal,
I'm not going to do that.
vivid, or wild. Each one can give you different abilities that align
We're going to
with
go
the
through
stag,
Q&A next.
owl, or bear.
Later tonight, we'll
Each
probably
ability
work on
gives you
some
a method
videos
to
after
become
this.
possessed by
And,
wisps of that type,
and
a
then
new
later
ability
tonight, we're
when you
going to be
spin.
running a monk.
The stag
playthrough.
allows you to summon stampedes when you attack.
And then tomorrow night, we'll look at the Q&A, because
The
I
owl
haven't
grants
looked at the
boons in
Q&A.
the form of their feathers, which adds extra projectiles and enhances the projectile speed of your next skill. And the bear simply summons a giant bear companion to your side. The bear will maul, slam,
too.
leap, and do
I
intimidating
want to run
rolls to
the
take out your
ape
enemies.
master build.
Now you can specialize more into each of these wisps, but if you want to combine all three of them, then a new hidden power will be unlocked, the power of the sacred wisps. This node is free and enhances the quality of all three of your spirit animals.
Yep.
Your bear will take some of the damage you take and grant you life regeneration. Your stags will become more aggressive, leaping towards enemies. And your owl-empowered skills will leave a trail of soaring ground
I
behind.
think this is going to be really strong.
But that's not all. The Spirit Walker has other powers beyond wisps. Such as idolatry, which can give you large bonuses for using idle socketables in your equipment. And this one, which is my absolute favorite. The Spirit Walker, having attuned herself with nature, can gain the ability to tame beast bosses.
Yeah, this is going to be so strong.
Very cool options for your build. Maybe you tame the mighty.
So I am going to do a Silverfist Ape Companion build because this just looks ridiculous.
Silverfist in the jungle depths. Or maybe a three-headed chimeral beast in the chimeral
There's just going to be disgusting game-breaking shit that comes out of this.
wetlands. Or then there's a giant frozen owl beast, Rakar, the frozen talon. There's so many choices. You're going to have to experiment a bunch with this one, and I'm very excited to see what bosses you all choose to have as your trusted boss companion. Next up, we have the Monk's new Ascendancy class,
I'm really keen on this one. This is going to be my go-to.
the Martial Artist.
I did not like Invoker or the Chayula Monk, but I do like this. This is like full-blown pugilist.
After decades of training, he has mastered 3 of the 7 hollow techniques. Channeling hollow form technique allows the martial artist to create illusions of himself, which then use a skill of your choosing. Perfect for turning skills with less area of effect into ones that can obliterate packs with ease.
I'm practicing Monk as well.
Should you find yourself overly vulnerable while channeling, you might want to take Way of the Mountain, which causes you to be covered in stone when you immobilize enemies, mitigating large amounts of damage. This can even enhance your attacks too. By hardening your weapon in stone, you can deal even more damage. After taking Hollow Focus technique, you can manifest your spiritual energy into objects. In this case, bells, which will appear around the martial artist and can be shattered by any of his attacks, even ones from the Hollow Form technique earlier. Hollow Resonance technique furthers that by adding a manifested bell to your back, which rings each time you deal a critical strike, damaging all enemies around you. Through all the martial artist's thorough training, he has mastered the flow of internal spiritual energy too, and has engraved runic tattoos around his meridians. By doing this, he can gain the benefit of extra runes. Just open your inventory.
So, this is really strong, and there's a couple reasons why. Number one, the rune crafting system that allows you to break the points within your stuff, that's going to be incredibly strong because basically you're going to be able to add like extra jewel sockets into every single item, so you get 4 extra jewels. For example, you could run 20% more additional boss damage, right? Or damage to bosses or unique enemies. So you get like straight up 80% for each node without getting those runes. And then you get the runes that you would have had, or the rune sockets anyway that you would have had in the gear conventionally. So you can basically double dip. Alternatively, you could do that and stack Adorned and get an extra 4 jewels to have Adorned plus a Voices up to 4. So you could get an extra 8 jewel sockets for Adorned, which technically means if you could get enough jewel sockets, like 6 plus 4, you could get like 14 jewel sockets in your gear if you can hit enough points and just straight up do Adorned stacking. Or like, sorry, 13 plus 1. So, and then still be able to get all of these runes. This just makes this class so disgustingly powerful. It's ridiculous.
And add the runes. There is one that counts as a helmet, 2 as a body armor, 1 as gloves, and 1 as boots.
That's okay. I'm okay with that. We only being able to use 1 because you still get all the advantages of all the jewels in here.
Finally, your hands. The ultimate expression of a master of the martial arts. Taking Way of the Stone Fist will cause your gloves to become a new base type when equipped. Each modifier on the original pair of gloves has an equivalent, more powerful, and more impactful modifier. For example, these gloves add some physical damage, cold damage, lightning damage, some resistances, and life gain on hit. Now, when I equip these, they become literal fists of stone, and not only grant me a bunch more evasion and energy shield, they now also grant a lot more damage.
So that was the previous Adorned, but what if it's been patched? So just putting it out there, just because it says it already doesn't mean it won't get patched and could include it down the track.
Some resistances and a significant...
This is really strong, by the way. So, like, just straight up, just clocks your gear up as it is.
Significantly higher amount of life gained on hitting enemies. With all the different rune combinations you could do, and the different modifiers on gloves, there's a ton of different build options, and we're looking forward to seeing what you can come up with.
Hey, Zish, how's it going, dude?
Now, with so many new bosses in Return of the Ancients, of course we want to have a huge number of unique rewards.
Appreciate the raid,
There
man.
are some pretty cool things in here, so we wanted to show you a few of them. Twisted Empyrean is a two-handed mace made from the purest of Verisium,
This is going to be
combined with the
disgusting.
beast's corruption.
So, do we think, like, you can craft that off of taking down the expedition boss?
It converts all of your mace's skills fire damage
Oh,
to
yeah.
cold.
Have a good one,
It
Zish.
visually does
Thanks,
so
man.
too, turning your volcanic fissures into glacial ones. This mace also comes with its own built-in skill, Starborn Onslaught. Using Glory, you can leap backwards, throwing...
We'll see how it goes. Like, the other big thing there is, like, you could have your boss as your damage dealer, and then you could have auras coming off your other companions, and the bear minion doesn't count as a companion or a minion.
Your mace at the ground, creating Verisium fissures, before calling behind it a storm of cold,
Yeah, Cold Thunder.
metallic bolts from the stratosphere. Next,
Did it just say how it triggers that skill? Where is it? So, grant skill level 19 Starborn Onslaught. We can't hover over that in the thingo, can we? Is that on the PoE2 website page? PoE2. We want Path of Exile 2. Yeah, it would be. So we want on this page, go to Ancients, we scroll down, and much more. Oh, we can't see it on the thingo. No, it doesn't allow us to see it. Luminal coil. It's pretty cool. Okay, I'll be quiet. I'll behave myself.
the beast's corruption. It converts all of your mace's skills fire damage to cold, and visually does so too, turning your volcanic fissures into glacial ones. This mace also comes with its own built-in skill, Starborn Onslaught. Using Glory, you can leap backwards, throwing your mace at the ground, creating Verisium fissures, before calling behind it a storm of cold metallic bolts from the stratosphere. Next, we have Eventide Petals.
It's not hard to get
an
Glory.
amulet that not only grants runic ward, but also comes with its own reservation skill, Midnight Zenith. This skill causes your critical hits to grant Arctic petals that hover around you. Once you have acquired enough of these petals, they will be consumed, creating a floral ice crystal near an enemy. Then, destroy that crystal to do devastating cold damage to everything around it.
This will be a cast on crit comet build, I guarantee you.
The Raven's Flock is a staff perfect for minion characters. Not only does it grant spirit reservation efficiency and minion damage, it also allows your minions to inflict grueling madness on hit, slowing enemies and making all other slows on them more powerful, for maximum crowd control. That's not where this item shines though. It grants a skill called Spiraling Conspiracy. This skill causes a flock of ravens to circle you, dealing damage over time to anything near.
I think I heard people saying they're just going to run. Yeah, I saw his video. I think he'll just run Infernal Legion on it, and it'll just be Righteous Fire. The big thing, right? And I don't think even we realize why this is so big. It's not just because it's a Righteous Fire style skill. It's the fact that they're willing to put skills like that in the game in the first place means that RF will eventually come into the game. Most likely, my theory is Righteous Fire will be released on 1.0 with the Templar. And I reckon it'll be an absolutely huge 1.0 reveal at ExileCon because it's like one of those skills that everybody plays. Like, you know, as complex or not complex of a player as you are, everybody will play it. It will be a hugely tanky skill and it'll be a hugely popular skill.
Killing enemies, or just by
which leads me to believe that they are going to go down the same route that they went down with on PoE 1.
standing near unique enemies causes
Yeah, it'll likely be in the Templar ascendancy for either the Inquisitor, well, probably the Inquisitor.
the flock to grow, getting larger.
Actually, Skeeter, I think you're more bang on with it. I think it will probably be like an amulet or a ring or something like that. I don't think they'd put it on an item like a weapon or piece of armor. I reckon it'll be like an amulet skill or something like that, and be like the righteous amulet or something, the amulet of the righteous or some crap like that.
And larger. For your PoE 1 players, you can think of this just like a Raven Righteous Fire. That's not all, however. These Ravens are also minions, so they fully scale with minion damage and come with their own command skill, Mad Flight. This command skill causes your flock to create a tunnel of deathly damage between a set of illusory mirrors, obliterating anything in between. Horror's Flight is a pair of gloves instilled with the purest of fear. Equipping these causes your enemies to become terrified of you. These gloves cause you to gain stacks of fear incarnate when you cull enemies.
Teamer version of RF.
To aid in your culling, these gloves also come with the skill Crushing Fear. This is similar to the monk skill Killing Palm, except it deals chaos damage, and the amount of damage and area of effect scales drastically based on the power of the enemy.
That's pretty good.
As you use this, gain your stacks of Fear Incarnate.
I think melee is going to get buffed this league. It just the amount of like melee they've shown with rolling slam, it sort of indicates to me that they are going to do that.
Which increases your culling threshold, meaning enemies become easier and easier to cull, even to the point of being able to instantly kill some monsters from full life. Sylvan's Effigy is a scepter for those wanting to
I'm really keen for the Bloody Wolf Companion.
run companions. It allows you to have any number of companions of different types, instead of the normal restriction of just one per type. But what makes this cool is the Asmerian Wolf Companion it comes with. This is a persistent minion that bites foes to maim them, leaps to cause bleeding, and even howls to buff nearby allies. Additionally, it comes with the command skill Eternal Hunt, which when used it will howl, calling on the spirits to manifest spectral wolves to ambush all foes around you.
That's going to be so powerful with like the wolf or a wolf spirit skill, and then like running companions around that. It's just nuts. Yeah.
Liminal Coil is a crazy wand. It allows you to apply as many curses as you please, but those curses will have no effect. What's the point then? 2 reasons.
Thanks
Firstly,
for the sub, dude.
Your spells gain a bunch of extra physical and chaos damage for each curse on enemies. Secondly, is the skill it grants called Coiling Bolts. This skill is a projectile spell that fires coiling physical and chaos projectiles with
Yeah, Fub Gun will be running this most likely.
every cast. What makes this skill truly special though, is that it will split and chain through every cursed enemy, causing an absolute ruckus. See for yourself. Periphery is a unique bow, which utilizes all the powers of the Asmerian spirits by dealing damage of all elements. And all elements can cause all ailments. The coolest thing about this bow, however, is the Asmerian Swarm skill. These are minions that are summoned when you kill enemies. They will pursue all nearby
And you know what's crazy about this is if you ran Coming Calamity, it would synergize with it.
enemies, damaging them and inflicting a debuff on them that boosts your elemental damage even further. Watch as you mow enemies down and the swarms of Asmerian wisps aid you, melting enemies one screen at a time.
I know, it's awesome. That's so
The
strong.
Ordained is a new spear.
I'm keen for this. This is the spear that the new Pinnacle boss drops from what it looks like. I'm actually going to do a video talking about this. This is very easy to like gear up and get to where you need it. Like, yeah, Righteous Descent looks absolutely nuts. And it's a level 20 skill as well.
Mastering in physical and lightning damage, with high critical strike chance too. This spear allows you to leech life not only from physical damage, but lightning too.
So that presence stat there, if you have a look, so you can get new modifiers with some of the new crafting materials that increase your presence or enemies in your presence up to 50%, which means you can get a lot of presence. And so that means you could create a fragment of divinity in your presence every 4 seconds. You could actually do that pretty easily with presence stacking.
It also creates a fragment of divinity nearby periodically. What are those? Well, this spear has the skill Righteous Descent,
Doesn't even have a shield.
which is an epic divine leap, aided by angelic wings.
We're going to play this, by the way.
If you use the skill when a fragment of divinity is nearby, it will become empowered, dealing significantly more damage, gaining massive area of effect,
I'm going to call my character Imperious. If you've played D3, you'll know why.
and bypassing its cooldown.
By the way, this is a total rip-off of D3. And it's awesome.
When fighting a boss, let a bunch of the fragments spawn, and then just unleash your divine havoc, obliterating them.
That's okay.
Last, but not least, we have a new unique jewel, Voices. Voices is simple. It consumes one jewel slot to
You know something there too? No level requirement, which means you can get it early on and use it early on.
add more. There are versions that add 2 jewel slots, 3 jewel slots, and for those who are absurdly lucky or rich, one with 4 jewel slots. Equip it and notice the slots appear next to your character's portrait in the center.
It's going to be so strong.
One of the things we are concerned about is how long it takes for experienced players to replay through the game in each new league. As we learned from Path of Exile 1, one of the things that can really help is having elements in the campaign that tell you where to go, if you know what to look for. We'll cover just one example per act for Acts 1 to 3, but there are many more than just these. For example, Hunting Grounds in Act 1 is a large, sparse area, containing multiple entrances and landmark encounters. Here's an example of some of the changes we've made here. Finding the ritual encounter in this area isn't too difficult. Now after completing it, a trail of locusts will lead to the entrance to Freythorn. Just follow it and find the source of the evil.
Yep. It's absolutely
You might
crazy.
also find
This is what I'm talking about, like the power increase in the game. Basically, like they've added all these sources of power generation, so it's just going to be totally cracked.
corpses of dead animals, killed and pecked at by the crowbell. You'll notice a trail of blood leading away from them. Follow the trail and it will lead directly to the boss. We even put a signpost on the road to tell you which way to go to find Ogham Village. In Act 2, in the Mastodon Badlands, you need to find the Lightless Caverns and track down the Abyssal. Now to make this quicker, in the level you'll find these cracks. Just follow them, and it will take you right to their lair, allowing you to find and unlock the Well of Souls. In Act 3, the jungle areas have camps of explorers to sell you items. However, they are now even more useful. By talking to the explorers, they will point towards the next area. Not only that, but it will also reveal it on the minimap, so you can know exactly where to go.
This is really good. It's really
These are
good.
just some examples. We plan to do more and more of these over time in order to streamline the
This game
experience.
is now officially very rock solid.
Now, as this is an endgame expansion,
That
it
is.
makes sense that we would work on Atlas QOL. We've added a search box that updates live as
The search box is the single most significant thing ever added.
you type. Have a specific map you want to run? Now they will be much easier to find. If there are multiple maps, hitting enter will move you from map to map. Now, making a character build in Path of Exile 2 can be pretty complex. And instead of designing a build yourself, many players enjoy following online build guides. We have a pretty awesome community that has built many tools over the years for designing builds, but we wanted to improve the experience of following them. So, we are introducing a new build guide system directly into the game client. Here's how it works. Community creators who write build guides can now create a new file format, a build file. Once downloaded, the builds appear in the in-game client, and selecting one will show you everything you need to know to make that build.
So good.
So you can see all the passives you need to allocate, ascendancy points you need to take, skill gems you need to equip, and recommendations for all the support gems you need to use as well. For items, the build designer can specify which uniques to use in each slot, or if needed, just add some notes to the item slot to say what kind of item you need. In fact, build creators can add notes to just about any of these areas, allowing them to explain different trade-offs in context.
It's a really
Or
good feature.
just give more info about how these things should be used. They can also give level ranges to each element, allowing recommendations to change over time. Great for builds that need to respec after they reach a certain level. Now, all of this is written in a standardized build format that creators can use, and we imagine that a lot of community build tools will be updated to add support for this format. Now that we have trade market searching built into the in-game client, we have added the ability to price check items you can find more easily. Control-Alt-clicking an item will now search for it on the trade market, showing you the current prices. For rare items, it's handy to exclude some mods, so we added the ability to enable and disable each mod so you can see what effect each one has on the price. Next up, we're going to be talking about the new supporter packs for Return of the Ancient.
I am going to buy one of these in the next week, I think.
Today, we're launching two new series of supporter packs, the Blood Reaver and Divinity packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Blood Reaver series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Let blood fuel your bloodshed. The Exsanguinator weapon effect draws the blood of enemies you've slain and funnels it into your weapons. Turn the appearance of your
I think Divinity looks a lot better. I like Blood's not bad, but Divinity just looks sick.
endurance, frenzy, and power charges into orbiting globules of blood with the Blood Reaver charges. While your charges are active, these blood orbs will grow in size when you absorb more blood from nearby enemies. There are options to have pure blood charges, or charges that still display which kind of charge they are at their core. A taste for blood doesn't negate a taste for style. The Elite Blood Reaver armor features crimson leathers and golden accents to set yourself apart from uncivilized leeches. It also features a back attachment, fashioned out of the wing of a colossal bat.
When I first heard that, I thought he said, and I can say this because I'm Australian, it sounded like he said crafted out of the wang of a bat. Like, and then I was like, oh no, it's just accent difference.
Alongside every Blood Reaver is their trusted gargoyle pet. In true gargoyle fashion, they take the form of a stone statue when you are idle, leaping into action when you're on the move again. What good is immortality if you don't have a vast mansion to come home to at the end of the day? The Eternal Blood Reaver supporter pack contains the Blood Reaver Manor Hideout. This exquisite two-story estate features an organ, a grand dining table, and cages for your visitors. You can alter the walls to create as many or few rooms as you like. Last but not least, the servant of the manor, eternally bound to the order of
I sort of want that because he looks like Dingleberry out of the Chaotic Good Barbarian series. It's like Dingleberry.
the Blood
I
Reavers.
know, not Dingleberry, Dinglemeyer, that's right.
This henchman will manage your store, so you can spend more time spilling blood.
Stop that. We won't disappoint you. But if we do, you've our permission to beat us most violently.
The Divinity Pack series also contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
It is.
Call on Divinity to aid you in eluding enemy hits with the Divinity Dodge Roll effect. As you sprint, actual divine lightning wings will form out of your back, leaving a trail of radiance as you engage or escape from combat. For situations that are too dicey, call on the gods above to send down the Storm of Divinity
This
portal
looks so cool.
to create a safe passage for you to retreat through. Adorn yourself with the Knight
Yeah,
of
they
Divinity
will.
armor set, a highly revered attire only bestowed to those deemed worthy for the divine cause.
It's freaking Imperious armor. Has anyone ever seen... Alright, I'll tell you. Imperious Diablo 3. So, this is Imperious from Diablo 3. For anyone who doesn't know what this reference is. This is Imperious, okay? This is what this whole this whole supporter pack and the new endgame boss and the new spear is designed from, even down to the skill. It's designed from Imperious.
Equipping the Divine Surge character effect empowers you with a storm of divine energy. Using skills causes the storm to burst from your character,
exactly.
spilling raw divinity into the area around you. The Arbiter of Divinity wings are the final piece remaining to emphasize the force divinity has over this realm. This ancient precursor machine was found locked away in a highly guarded vault. Its original purpose is unclear, but it has been altered to fuel your maps using the pure, everlasting divinity within the statue. The pillars surrounding represent how many portals you have left for your map. This map device also tracks your progress as you complete the new
I think that's
Origins
awesome.
of Divinity storyline, added this expansion. Additionally, all microtransactions from the supporter packs will be made available for use in Path of Exile 1. On release weekend, we will also be releasing the Return of the Ancients mystery box, which will contain 2 armor sets, a set of map devices for your in-game adventures, a new tracking
that's
scroll
the
that records the
armor
amount of
set.
currency you've gained from the currency exchange or your shop, and much more, like a set of finisher effects and affinity stashes. That's not all, however. The Fragment Stash tab is finally coming to Path of Exile 2, and with it comes some tabception.
What is that?
Inside this one tab,
So, we've got Ultimatum. That's clearly Breach, right? That would have to be the new endgame pinnacle bosses or whatever. What is this stuff here? So that's like, that's the audience with the king. I'll just move my head. So that's audience with the king. What is that? Oh, that must be the new pinnacle boss. So what is that? Interesting. And that would be for the Abyss boss.
there's a tab for your various boss key fragments. There's also a tab for all your precursor
Possibly,
tablets,
yeah.
with each type of tablet getting 6
The precursor one is the best.
tabs of storage. Finally, there's a
Maybe.
tab for your Djinn barriers and inscribed ultimatums, both of which get their own 6 tabs.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Uber Arbiter will be the thing. Well, it could be.
That's a lot of tabs.
So that's everything in 050. This is by far the biggest update we've ever made to PoE 1 or 2. New in-game storylines, pinnacle bosses, crafting systems, items, ascendancy classes, and so much more. Now, because this update contains so much in-game content, we're doing significantly more testing than usual. For that to happen, we're taking a little longer than usual between the announcement and the release. 050 will be released in 3 weeks on May the 29th, with the patch notes being released on the Friday before that, on May 21st. But there's just one more thing to talk about. Now that the endgame is up to scratch, we have to start talking about our plan for 1.0 release. The feedback we've had during early access has been critical for making all the improvements that we'll be making to the game. At the same time, we had to create enough in-game content to make an ARPG that can call itself a successor to Path of Exile 1. Well, with 050, we now believe we have reached that point, and so this is going to be the last full-size league during early access. That's right, the next big update is going to be 1.0. Now normally we would do our next big content release in August, but in the run-up to full release, our plans take a little longer on this one. As big as 050 is, 1.0 is even bigger. So we'll be launching 1.0 this year sometime after ExileCon. But that doesn't mean we won't be doing updates in the meantime. In this final phase, we have a lot of things to polish throughout the game and balance to improve. I'm sure there'll also be feedback about the new endgame that we need to incorporate too. The difference is that the focus is not going to be on adding more content like the previous updates, it's going to be on improving what we already have. But we still want to encourage people to try out all the balance changes and improvements that we're making. So we're going to be running a few event leagues during this phase alongside each update. Think remixes of existing mechanics or features. And speaking of ExileCon, don't forget to pencil it in on the weekend of November the 7th.
Already penciled in.
ExileCon is a gathering of
I
our
will
players
be there.
and a chance for us to showcase everything we'll be working on for both Path of Exile 1 and 2.
Hell yeah.
And this one will be particularly important for us, since we finally get to unveil some of the coolest content that we've been working on for a while now with Act 5 and 6. Tickets for the in-person event are currently sold out.
Thanks a lot, Wake.
but
I
don't worry,
appreciate it.
all the announcements and talks are going to be streamed online for all of you to watch.
Ooh. All right. Okay, so yeah, that looks pretty awesome. Pretty keen. So I might come online a little bit later tonight, and we'll do this one here. Well, I don't have it in me to make it through this one right now. And I've got to do a few other things and whatnot. Anyway, yeah, I will. Let's do a quick raid for those on the Twitch channel, and otherwise, yeah, I'll be back online probably in about, well, I don't know. I've got to edit some videos and stuff like that, so there'll be some more content coming up on the YouTube channel. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys on YouTube later on, and for the guys on Twitch, let's give this guy Malignant a raid. Have a good one all.